My mother died on a Tuesday, the kind of ordinary day that makes death feel even more absurd. She was 73, and the house she'd lived in my whole life was now mine to deal with. I hadn't been back in years. Work, life, the usual excuses. Standing in the driveway, I could almost see myself as a kid running to the door. The house looked smaller, they always do. Inside, everything was exactly as I remembered. The same furniture, the same photos on the walls. Mom never changed anything. I used to think it was stubbornness. Now I wonder if she was holding on to something. Relaxed, the real estate agent said I should clear out the house before listing. Personal effects decrease property value, she said, so I started with the attic, working my way down. Boxes of memories I'd forgotten I had. On the second day I found something strange. A door at the end of the upstairs hallway, painted the same color as the wall. I'd walked past it 1,000 times as a kid. I had no memory of it ever being there. I called my sister. "There's a door at the end of the upstairs hall," I said. "What door?" she asked. She grew up in the same house. She didn't remember it either. The door was locked. No keyhole, just a small brass latch that had been painted over so many times it was almost invisible. I got a screwdriver and started chipping away at the paint. Under the paint, the brass was tarnished green. This latch hadn't been touched in decades. Maybe longer. The door swung open, with a sound like something exhaling. It was a nursery, a small room with a crib, a rocking chair, and shelves of toys, everything covered in dust so thick it looked like snow. The window was boarded up from the inside. Scared, I'm an only child. My sister is 3 years younger than me. There was no sibling between us, no miscarriages that anyone ever mentioned, but this room had been here my entire childhood, hidden behind a door I never saw. The toys weren't from my era. Wooden blocks, a tin wind-up bear, a porcelain doll with eyes that followed me. These were from the 1950s, maybe earlier, before my parents even met. The block spelled a name, Edward. My father's name was Edward. He died when I was 12. Mom never talked about his childhood. Never. I searched through Mom's things that night. In a box marked "Do Not Open" in her handwriting, I found documents, adoption papers, for my father, dated 1952. He'd been adopted at age 3. The adoption agency was in this city. The address was familiar. It took me a moment. Then I realized it was this house. This house had been an orphanage. My father was adopted from this building. But that didn't explain the nursery. If Dad was 3 when he was adopted, he wouldn't have been in a nursery. And the room was sealed from the inside. Someone had wanted it to stay hidden. The next day, I went to the county records office. I found the orphanage files. It closed in 1955 after an incident. Incident was the word they used. The details were sealed, worried. An archivist helped me find newspaper articles from that year. Local orphanage closes after tragedy. A child had died. No name given. The article mentioned a fire in a nursery room. Scared, I went back to the house that night. Back to the nursery. Something I hadn't noticed before. The walls were darker near the ceiling. Not dust. Smoke damage. Old, faded, but there. Scared, the crib had a small brass plate on the headboard. I wiped away the dust. A name was engraved, Thomas Edward. My father's middle name was Thomas, but he wasn't Thomas Edward. Thomas Edward was someone else. I called my aunt that night. My mother's sister asked if she remembered anything about Dad before the adoption. He never talked about it, she said, except once. He said he had a brother who stayed behind. A twin. My father had a twin brother, Thomas Edward, who died in a fire in this nursery. And my father was adopted out, given a new name, and never spoke of it again. Except he came back, bought this house, raised his family in the same building where his brother died. Why would he do that? Why would anyone live in the place where their brother burnt to death? Unless he didn't know, or unless he was trying to forget, or unless something here wouldn't let him leave. Scared, that night I slept in my old room. At 3 a.m. I woke to the sound of a child crying, thin, distant, coming from the end of the hall, from the nursery. The door I had closed was open. I didn't go to the door. I couldn't. I lay there until dawn, listening to a child cry for someone who would never come. When the sun rose, the sound stopped. The door was closed. Had it ever been open, I found one more thing before I left, a photo album hidden in the nursery under the floorboards. 2 boys, identical faces. In every photo, one was smiling, one was not. The unsmiling one was marked Thomas. The smiling one was marked Edward. I sold the house. Didn't even empty it out. Told the agent to sell it as is, furnishings included. She looked at me strangely when I said to leave the upstairs door locked. I never told my sister what I found. She has kids of her own now. I don't want her to know that our father grew up in a place where his twin brother burned and spent his whole life trying not to remember. Sometimes I think about Thomas, the one who stayed behind. The one who never got adopted, never got a new name, never got to forget. I wonder if he's still there in that nursery, waiting for someone to finally remember him. The new owners moved in last month, a young couple with a baby. They sent me a photo of their renovations. They'd found the nursery, opened it up, painted it bright yellow, perfect for our little one. They wrote. I didn't write back. What would I say? That some rooms should stay closed, that some things want to be remembered too badly, that their baby shares a nursery with something that never got to grow up? Some warnings can't be spoken. They can only be understood when it's too late.